Good morning. Welcome once again to our morning meditations. I'm the Reverend Dr. William L. Johnson III. I am a chaplain at Christian Hospital, and I'm glad to be able to share these messages with you. Today, as in all days, we want to make sure that we offer you encouragement and inspiration for not only today, but for your week. We are aware that so much is happening around us and in our own lives that sometimes it's difficult to pull our head up and look around and really be encouraged and inspired by something that does not come from the news reports or does not come from what we've heard here and there through social media, but through this opportunity. This is especially for you because we are aware that all that you carry and all that you're enduring needs some help every now and then, and so do we. So we do this together. And thank you so much for tuning in and listening to these messages that we're offering to you today. They're for you. Well, today's morning meditation is entitled Revelations. Revelations. I thought about this message today and how much, with everything that we have some learnings at every stage of our lives. When I was 10 years old, I knew some things, but I learned some different things by the time I moved through my teen years and into my 20s. And when I got to my 20s, I thought I had it all together. I was able to kind of drive and go out with my friends and get into nightclubs at age 21. And I thought that I had finally arrived and graduated from college. And then I moved to a different stage, another stage in life where I was married very young and had children and all those sorts of things. And the experiences of life graduate you along the way. But I had a great conversation with a friend really several years ago, probably over 15 years ago, as I was approaching my 40s. Yes, I was approaching my 40s. And they said something that was insightful, to say the least. They said, well, when you move out of your 30s, when you move into your 40s, it's as if you move out of one room into a new room. And I didn't understand. It says that, well, it seems like the whole world starts to come together, and now you start to see things as they really are. Not in ways that you saw them in your teen years, not as you saw them in your 20s, and not even in your 30s as you were trying to develop your life. But now you're moving into a place at the age of 40. Is something about that number that brings things together and makes it clear. And wherever we see this number 40, it is important for us to take a moment to take a deep breath and to reflect over our lives and perhaps receive some revelation. Well, that's what I want to talk about today. For we have been introduced. I was celebrating and looking to celebrate with my younger sister who is having a baby. And I remember all the conversations about the great reveal. When do you let people know what is happening in your life? When do you let them know what the gender of the baby will be? When do you let them know that you've engaged, that you've fallen in love and you're engaged to be married? When do you let them know and reveal to other people what it is that's precious to you? What achievements you've been able to accomplish? What kind of things that are important to you? And that's what I want to talk about in concentration. This is a different revelations than one we see for those of the Christian tradition and other faith traditions talking about the end times and prophecy. I'm talking about really when things become clear for us in our lives, when we discover things about ourselves and about others that we had not been able to discover before. It is in those moments that we get clarity about who we are and what we should be doing. And with all that is happening in our lives, I think it is a good time and a good season for clarity. For us to really grasp the concept and what I'm hoping to share with you, I'm hoping that you can reflect back on your life and reflect back on moments that are important, even as you do so now, and think about what not only that you experienced them, but what they mean. And after a while, when you are able to kind of see things as they are, it's as if a curtain was pulled back and allowing you to see underneath or behind the curtain of what has been happening in your life, why you make choices the way you make them, or why others were making choices the way they were making them. It makes life make a whole lot more sense when you have some revelation. And so that what I want to do today is talk about what happens when you get to the place where things are revealed, when you see things as if it was for the first time. And while you're navigating through a lot of things in your life, I want you to know that there's something special about you. There is something unique about who you are, that now you hopefully will come to the place where things are being revealed. It will reveal to you several things that I think is important. And I'm going to kind of shift in a moment, but I think it's important for me to put my finger on these things. That there's some things that are revealed to us about ourselves that we really need to know. We are revealed, things are revealed to us about who we are and who I really am. That when you have moments that seem to be aha moments or moments that catch our attention, sometimes shake us at the very foundations of our lives, they often shake us so that we are able to put in perspective of our role in our own lives. That often we find ourselves as voyeurs into our own lives and our own existence, as if we are coasting along. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but you and I, many of us, have found ourselves in places where we're coasting along, doing things and observing our lives as if we're not in them, that we're on autopilot sometimes. And there are moments when things happen like a snap in our lives that cause us to be shaken in order to wake up so that we can see what is around us. And in fact, to pay attention to our own role in our own happiness, in our own joy, and sometimes our own sadness. So I want to encourage us as we think about these things. There is a passage of scripture. I will share it with you. I've shared it before, and I'll use it now as a launching pad for what I'll say next. It's in the sixth chapter of the book of Isaiah, and Isaiah lays out this story about his experience and his loyalty and love to a leader who had done great things for he and his people. And there he discovered a tragedy that King Uzziah had somehow done something unthinkable and got sick from that, and he eventually dies. And Isaiah says, it was in the year that King Uzziah died that I saw some things. I saw the Lord high and lifted up. I saw so much happening around me. And I realized that I had not saw God, I did not see myself, and I did not had not seen others in the ways in which I should have. Isaiah is a young prophet. He is a young religious leader, and now he finds himself realizing that he never really saw at all. And that's what I'm trying to get to. Sometimes that in our lives, we find ourselves doing things and going through the motions, going to school, getting a good education, perhaps getting married, perhaps in that kind of mode of raising children, sometimes paying bills and buying homes and trying to station ourselves in life. And then we look, and before we know it, our youth has retired, and we have moved into another place in life where we wonder where our lives have gone. And in those moments, I hope that at least we can learn and look back and reflect on where we are and what role we played in our own lives, what role others have played in our lives, and what role God, the divine, has played in our lives. Isaiah says, in the year that King Uzziah died, one that I venerated and believed in as a great leader. The moment he was no longer with us, I finally saw God in a different kind of way. Lofty, lifted up, and God's presence was everywhere, not just in one group of people or one thing or one pathway, but feeling the tempo, feeling everything in everything I experience. And sometimes when we have those moments, those watershed moments, those moments that rock us to our core, a loss of a loved one, an ending of a marriage, a sickness that we didn't expect to ravage our bodies, the decimation of family from sickness or people moving away, whatever it is that shakes us to our core, it is in those moments that we have an opportunity to see ourselves differently. Isaiah says some things like this. I saw God, and then there was this need for someone to speak to people, and who would do it? And Isaiah realized that he wasn't qualified because he lived among people who did things that weren't right, and he was one of them. And somehow it's important to see ourselves, to see other people, and to see God in a fresh new way. Now, once you've had that vision, and once you've been able to see it, I think it's important for us to note that the revelation is there for a reason. We don't get a chance to see. We're not privileged to see things, except for, I believe, that there is an opportunity for us to be able to impact it in some way. In other words, I'm not one from the school of fatalism that things are just going to be what they are, or whatever it is, what que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be. I think there's some things that are revealed to us for the express purpose of either embracing it or having the ability to change it. So the question I have for you, which will you do? Will you embrace what is happening, or will you move to change it? And all of that depends on your ability to hear, listen, and connect to who you are now, who God is now in your life, or your creator is in your life, and who you're around and what crowd you're running with. My mom used to say some things to me. She used to say, well, baby, listen, either you're going to influence the crowd you're running with, or the crowd is going to influence you. There are some things that is nothing wrong with being among the number, and it's good to have fellowship with people. You don't have to, be the person who turns over the apple cart all the time. But there are some moments that are unique to who you are, that it is important that your voice and your values are heard, and what you believe and what you know and who you were made to be should come to bear. Maybe this is one of those moments in your life where you have reached the zenith and all the world seems to be out of control and out of order, but your voice may be needed to transform your current circumstances or your family, or to speak to a loved one or a friend, to bring comfort to your workplace or encouragement and leadership among those who are around you. I want to encourage you to keep doing that, and to know that whatever is revealed to you, whatever revelation that you have, it is measured only by your ability to see God, to see yourself, and to see others. And in a way that is not punitive, but a way that is marked by what I believe God's marking is, and that is love. Grew up in an environment where a lot of things we learn can be copied, but there's nothing that any enemy force can copy, uh, uh, that looks like or sounds like or represents God's love. They can't do it. So to love one another as God has loved you is the marker for revelation. And you find yourself being revealed and having things revealed for you that allows you to love God differently and better, allows you to love yourself differently and better, and allows you to love others differently and better. Well, I'm signing off now, and I thank you for your time. I want you to remember that you are loved, you're appreciated, and you're irreplaceable. Thanks again for being with us for one more round of these morning meditations. I hope that they reach you and encourage you and inspire you and your family and your life as you go through your day and as you go through your week. Thanks again.